Hello, Assalamualaikum. We are from Group 2 and in this video, we are going to talk about Jalin. Do you know Jalin? Jalin Sdn Bhd is a halal food manufacturing company based in Johor and the company was established in 1981. They produce variety of products including soy sauce, chili sauce and ketchup. They have also managed to expand their product line by introducing variety of soy sauce, chili sauce, oyster sauce and cordials. The value of global soy sauce market in 2020 was estimated to be around 42.48 billion USD, but the market is dominated by Chinese and Japanese as it is the key ingredients of their dishes. Jalin, on the other hand, has not really focuses on foreign markets, but they have started to export their products to Singapore, Brunei and Maldives. What if one day Jalin dive into the China market? Everyone knows China, one of the largest economically power in the world, with over 1.44 billion population, which could be one of the potential customers. China also the top economy in terms of purchasing power parity (PPP), thanks to its growth of economy, making them a very good place for foreign direct investment. China also has a very well-developed production sector such as manufacturing and heavy industry sector. The new Silk Road economic, which China is among 70 countries involved, might be a great opportunity to do halal trade with Muslim and Arab countries. Demographically, there are 24.4 million Muslims live in China and the Chinese halal food market itself is approximately at 21.2 billion USD. Besides, soy sauce is one of the main ingredients in most Chinese food, so it's a plus point for Jalin, right? From Johor to China. Should Jalin expand their business into China's market? What are the benefits and risks they might face? We will discuss more in this video.
Culture includes religion, food, style, language, morals, beliefs in a country like China. Ignorance of cultural differences can result in low return on investment, missed opportunities, as well as joint ventures and partnerships. In order to avoid such failures, it is important for the Jalin Food Manufacturing Company to understand the cross-cultural factors that will result in cross-cultural risk if it chooses to enter China's market. So, we come up with the dimensions of culture that could help Jalin to ensure that things will fit together. Physical environment. From what we have researched, the different climate and broad reach of China, the third largest country in the world in terms of area. China's climate ranges from subarctic to tropical. Its topography includes the world's highest peaks, picturesque river valleys, and vast plains with soil enriching. These characteristics have described where the Chinese people live and how they make their livelihood. Values and attitudes. The traditional culture values that influence the psyche of the Chinese people is harmony. Harmony means proper and balanced coordination between things. Modern Chinese society tries to maintain harmony between humankind and nature, between people and society, between members of different communities. Manners and customs. Chinese greeting ritual is that they generally shake hands when greeting and departing, sometimes accompanied by a nod of the head. Chinese eating habits such as using chopsticks to pick up food, not knives or forks. As a matter of fact, 95% of Chinese people have 3 meals a day, while 5% have 2 meals a day. Perception of time and space. Chinese views of time. It is rude to be late in business situations. Arriving on time or 5 minutes early for a meeting is important, as punctuality is highly valued. For the reason that Chinese people are monochronic, they treat time as money. Personal space and touching. Chinese tend to be comfortable standing a little length and arm's length from one another. 1.5 to 2 feet is common. In conversation, there's a little to no touching unless it is with families, close friends. Social structure. China is stemming from collectivism. The Chinese collectivist mindset creates a society that is supportive and protective of its members, but people need to sacrifice their happiness or time for the benefit of the greater good of a group. Language. The official language of China is Standard Chinese, known as Putonghua, which is a form of Mandarin, and it is spoken by 850 million people. When Jalen wants to start its business venture in China, language won't be a burden because it is estimated that a number of Chinese people are currently learning English. Meanwhile, 10 million living in the mainland are considered totally fluent and use English regularly. Religion. The Chinese constitution states that people are allowed to practice any religion they want, but the only legal religions are Buddhism, Taoism, Islam, Catholicism, and Protestantism. Research has shown that China has a 93% combination of Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism. 7% other includes Muslims, Christians, Protestants, Catholics, and Jews.
Next, we move on to another international business risk, that is country risks. Each country has their own uniqueness in terms of political, economic, and legal system that often pose challenges for business operation and performance. China is a representative democratic republic where the president is head of state and the premier, president of the executive yuan, is head of government and of a multi-party system. Since it is a representative democratic republic country, the executive power is exercised by the government and the legislative power is vested primarily with the parliament and limited by government. Representative democracy, also known as indirect democracy, is a type of democracy where elected persons represent a group of people in contrast to direct democracy. It gives an advantage to Jalen's company to enter the market and can increase the competition of the product that leads to efficiencies and lower prices. In China, they have mainly a civil law system, which in other words, court cases are not law, only rules codified by the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary are laws. In fact, there are 4 legal systems within the territory of the People's Republic of China. Firstly, mainland China, where the laws of the mainland are mainly influenced by the laws of the Soviet Union, Germany, and Japan. In the past 20 years, it has also been affected by common law in some fields. Secondly, Hong Kong, which operates on a common law system inherited from the UK. Thirdly, Macau, where it operates on a civil law system inherited from Portugal. And lastly, Taiwan operates on a civil law system influenced by German and Japanese laws. Next, according to the website of Index of Economic Freedom, China has scored 58.4 and making its economy the 107th in the 2021 index. China is ranked 20th among 40 countries in the Asia-Pacific region, and its overall score is below the regional and world average. Its overall score has decreased by 1.1 points, primarily because of the decline in fiscal health. China remains a mostly unfree economy. The modest improvement in its economic freedom score in recent years have resulted mostly from gains in the property rights, judicial effectiveness, and business freedom indicators. Overall, the economic freedom that does exist in China continues to lack depth and breadth, and the government needs to ensure that business-friendly policy changes are understood and implemented nationwide. China implements a market-oriented mixed economy that incorporates economic planning through industrial policies and strategic 5-year plan. It allows supply and demand to determine fair prices, the protection of private property, innovation being promoted, standards of employment, the limitation of government in business, yet allowing the government to provide overall welfare and market facilitation by the self-interest of the players involved. Therefore, Jalen should be precise and serious in deciding on how to run their business, such as what to produce in China, at what price, who to employ, and more when entering this country. Next, I will tell you a little bit about financial risk. Based on one trade website, it showed that China's business environment is medicure. The availability and reliability of corporate financial information vary widely. Intercompany transactions run applicable risks in the unstable, largely inefficient environments rated B. In order for Jalen to successfully expand into the country and make a success of their venture, it is important to understand China's possible financial risks that they may face in the future. Therefore, the financial risks to take into account before Jalen considered spreading their wings in in China, which are currency value fluctuations and translation risk. When the domestic currency appreciates against a foreign currency, profit or returns earned in the foreign country will decrease after being exchanged back to domestic currency. Due to somewhat volatile nature of the exchange rate, it can be quite difficult to protect against the kind of risk which can harm sales and revenues. Lastly, a parent company owning a subsidiary in other country could face losses when the subsidiary financial statement, which will be denominated in that country currency, have to translate it back to the parent's company currency.
Now, we will discuss the commercial issues relating to Jialin that will lead to commercial risk. Commercial risk refer to potential losses arising from the trading partners or the market. It is important to ensure that the trading partners are reliable. In addition, it is also important to take into account the trading partner's possible insolvency or unwillingness to pay, as commercial risk could have a possibility of having problems when dealing with a foreign trading partner. As example, there may be a problem with payment, shipping, or the interpretation of your agreement, mixing different laws, cultures, custom policies, and languages, and things can become complicated. Jialin may experience many commercial risks as they need to able to respond without delay or hesitation when doing the business. To solve the commercial risk, there are some of the areas that business owners like Jialin can focus on to help manage the risk that arise from running an international businesses to China. First, getting an insurance plan. Assessment from CFO from Jialin to pull up the figures on trade credit so he can provide it to the insurer. By having an insurance plan, Jialin will be more secured. Secondly, making a bank loan with the bank in China. With the similar figures, the bank in China will measure the risk of Jialin's filing in their international business. Jialin needs to make sure that they have appropriate assets and liabilities to get approved for their bank loan in China. Last but not least, having a successful risk management program helps an organization consider the full range of risks it faces. Risk management also examines the relationship between risk and the cascading impact they could have on an organization's strategic goals.
Should Jialin pursue a market entry strategy in China? Yes, because Jialin possesses a competitive advantage, it has the potential to improve the product's competition, resulting in more efficiency and cheaper pricing in China. However, Jialin should be clear and serious when selecting how to operate their businesses in China, including what to produce, at what price, who to employ, and more. Additionally, Jialin must comprehend the cross-cultural elements that can contribute to cross-cultural risk. What should Jialin do in China? If Jialin wishes to reach the Chinese market, they should consider exporting their goods and selling it there. The reason for this is that China faces significant financial risks in the future, including currency value fluctuations and also translation risks. As a result, it is prudent for Jialin to begin by exporting before investing heavily in the Chinese market. Jialin can access the Chinese market by a few main strategies, including selling their goods through a distributors or direct channels in China, or establishing a joint venture with a Chinese firm. However, Jialin will need several points of entry and may need to mix various market entry strategy in order to fully penetrate the market. From an Islamic perspective, we believe that it is important to integrate tolerance in business. Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Isra verse 70, "And we have certainly honored the children of Adam and carried them on the land and sea and provided for them of the good things and preferred them over much of what we have created with definite preference." As a result, everyone must be valued regardless of their faith, color, ethnic origin, gender, or socio-economic standing, because God Almighty, the creator of everything, created everyone, mankind, must treat one another with complete honor, respect, and loving. From an international business standpoint, it is critical that we accept cultural differences prior to entering a new market, particularly in those places with diverse cultures. We propose that Jialin foster tolerance throughout their commercial effort in China by including element of Chinese culture into their product. Number 2 is towards Islamic globalization. Islamic globalization is a combination of religious, economic, political, and diplomatic developments that are reshaping the Muslim world. Islamic globalization enables enables contemporary Muslims to integrate into it and reform the mainstream of international life. These are also China's objective, especially as Chinese leaders demonstrate an increased interest in soft power, seeking to align themselves with notions of civilizational interchange and global governance. Chinese Muslims are increasingly viewed as members of great international religion, endowed with invaluable knowledge and connection that aid China emerging global influence. As a result, Jalin should seize this chance to garner support from Chinese society, particularly the Muslim community, which has a substantial financial stake in the country.
From Johor to China, Jalin should spread their wings to the other side of Asia and eventually become one of the biggest names representing Malaysia. That's all from our group. Until next time, thank you for viewing our video.